Hi, I'm Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co founder of the She Angels Foundation. I'm also the podcast host of Invest in Her and an award winning producer, author, and TEDx speaker. Our show, Invest in Her, features phenomenal female founders and funders. As you know, women receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Our series is about accelerating the funding of women by connecting them to funding resources. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to this week's edition of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. Also, the executive producer of Show Her the Money movie, and also GP over at Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund, where we are funding women in tech. And today we have on a woman in tech. She is an amazing founder of Legalucy. You're going to find out all about that and how it can help you as a founder or an investor. Let's welcome to the show, Harmony Oswald. Hi, Harmony. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. It's so great to see you. Thank
You
you so
too.
much for having me on the show. It's really exciting.
You bet. Well, you are always full of great energy, and I just love your concept of Legalucy because, it uses AI to help founders navigate the legal system, which they waste so much time and money on, and you are addressing that issue, and I'm excited to talk about it. But first,
Yes.
I want to talk about your background so we understand the extraordinary woman that we're talking to today. So you're a veteran. Let's start with that. That is,
True. True. Go,
yes,
go Army Hood.
that's right. And you were, let's see, the U.S. Army 1st Infantry Division
True.
veteran,
Yes.
right?
That's true. So I served active duty overseas in the 1st Infantry Division. Duty
Wow.
first, the big red one. Yeah, so I was a soldier and a broadcast journalist overseas. So 46R was my MOS, broadcast journalism. So unique opportunity, really cool. Really impacted my life, actually. Yeah.
I can imagine. Where were you deployed to?
Well, I was serving active duty over in Würzburg, Germany. So in Europe, we did trainings in, for example, Grafenwehr over there. Um, yeah, fortunately, it was during peacetime when I was over there. So I was
Good.
very fortunate at a young age doing this, right? I enlisted when I was 20 years old.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Well, this one I read, I have to share with everybody. So you got a superior performance certificate for outperforming all the men in your platoon.
I
Tell
did.
me about that.
I did. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Completely unexpected. Didn't really know honestly what I was getting myself into at that young age. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
And as a kid, I always had wanted to be a lawyer, but there was not really a path for me for that. And whenever a young person is in that kind of situation, I always tell them that the military can be a really awesome, really strong choice that you can do. It really helped me. Going to Europe and training in the army helped me to have confidence, leadership skills, and a broad worldview. But you were asking about basic training. So yeah, what happened was so it's kind of an interesting story where the drill sergeants during basic training, they were appointing me as the platoon leader, right? This was over, I would say it was around 30 soldiers. There's actually some pictures on LinkedIn that I posted before, pretty cool pictures of me leading the platoon. But anyway, they apparently thought that I was doing a really great job, and they kept repeatedly appointing me to do this job. And I think you would have thought it was so cool, Catherine, if you would have seen me marching the platoon around, calling cadence. And I really learned to be responsible for, that whole group of soldiers and so
yeah.
forth. But yes, I was selected during the final kind of graduation ceremony, and I had earned the honor of a superior performance certificate. And I'll never forget that day. And I did know that throughout basic training, I really was called to be a leader and And it wasn't something that I was, raising my hand like, hey, pick me for this. There were actually I remember specifically there was a male soldier who really, really wanted to be a leader. And he kept saying, like, pick me, right? And because of that, they didn't pick him. And
Right.
they picked me to do it. And
Yeah.
it was
Well, you're
quite an
just a natural
experience.
born leader, honestly. And
Thanks.
and so knowing this background that you have, I was surprised and I wasn't surprised. You know people, but you don't even know all of their background. But I didn't know that you were on NBC's Fear Factor.
I was.
Tell
Yes,
me about that. That really sounds like a cool experience.
yes. So the reason for that, I really believe that this was kind of kind of an intuitive thing that happened throughout my life. So, like I was telling you, Catherine, when I was a kid, I grew up in a really small town. There were a lot of limitations there. I really felt the weight of kind of gender roles. It was like I was being told and limited that really, being a lawyer, that's way out of reach for you, right? There's no path for that. Instead, you should do things like you can be a cheerleader, you could be in beauty pageants, you could be a caregiver or something like that. So it was very limiting for me. And as a young girl, I really felt that heavily. And so that's one of the reasons why I actually joined the army. I remember when I was looking at joining the military, thinking like, this has to be, really hardcore what I'm doing. Like, I need to prove this out, right? So I wanted to showcase my ability as a strong, leader, strong woman. So I did the army. And then that is also the same reason why at that young age, I ended up um, uh, applying for and being selected for the show Fear Factor with Joe Rogan. So it was quite an experience. It was in Hollywood, Catherine. And one of the most interesting things I think about doing Fear Factor was whenever the contestants. So you've watched this show, right, Catherine? Right? So
Yes.
what people don't realize about it is that they had actually blindfolded all of the contestants, put us into a van, so we're all blindfolded. And now let me tell you that I had flown across the country because at the time I lived in Pennsylvania. Okay, so I flew across the country. I'm in Hollywood by myself. They put me blindfolded in a van. They take us out into the countryside. So we have
Let me
been.
just interject. You could not pay me to be on this show. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's all about proving that strength, Catherine.
Right,
Bravery and all this good thing, right?
right.
So anyway, they blindfolded us, took us out into the countryside, maybe 20, 30 minutes. We drove out. So I have no idea where the set was located. I guess that was the point. Then they continued to have us blindfolded, put us onto a boat, and took us out to kind of like an island situation. So, like when I was on the show, that was because I was locked down to this platform that was hooked to a helicopter, and the helicopter was flying out over the water. So that's why we were on some type of kind of like we took this boat blindfolded out to this island to do the stunt. So anyway, that was a really cool experience and really did challenge your ability to be brave. So I've been in a situation where I've had a lot of practice, I guess, being
Mhm,
brave,
mhm.
you know?
Well, you know what? Everything you did led up to it does take bravery to start a business. So you moved into being a lawyer when you were told you couldn't be, right? So you achieved that. And then here you are, an entrepreneur raising funding for Legalucy.
True.
And let's tell everybody about Legalucy. How did you have this brainchild? Was it that you were working as an attorney and saw that there was this need? Like, how did this happen? Tell us what Legalucy is and then how you got that epiphany.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I love this question because um, it comes up a lot in entrepreneur circles, and people talk a lot about their idea and it's their baby and all of this. And I actually have a little different outlook toward that, which I will
Okay.
share in just a minute. So you asked me about kind of how it was born. So because of the Army, I really learned that I could become anything that I want, and I'm so grateful about that. And so then as an adult, I moved across the country to California, have been here ever since, and that's when I went through law school. Went through the Entrepreneurs Law Clinic. That really resonated with me because my whole entire family back in Pennsylvania, they're all business owners. I have never known a lawyer in my life before I went through law school. And so that really resonated with me to help innovators, to help business owners, right? So I decided to pursue that practice area. I also earned a Whitkin Award for research and writing on gender in the law matter. So I've always cared a lot, being a young woman from a small town, being in the Army from a young age. I also, by the way, Catherine, was I became a divorced single mother by the age of 24. So that was, I mean, I had a lot of lessons from a young age about how I really wanted to help advance kind of young women and women. And by the way, I've also been remarried for over 21 years. So that's really great. But anyway, when I was in law school, I really wanted to help entrepreneurs. So I made a plan and actually launched a firm to help advance women-led companies in Silicon Valley and beyond. And immediately started partnering with the Silicon Valley Founder Institute after, to put on startup pitch competitions in Silicon Valley after learning that women-led companies were only securing like 2% of venture capital. This was a long time ago, Catherine. This was like in 2017.
And here we are,
Here
still
we
stuck
are.
there, aren't we?
Here we are. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. We're learning,
Awesome.
we're getting better.
That's a whole nother movie.
It is. It's a whole other
Show her
movie.
the money.
I love this. Yes. So anyway, I really thought, just like you and I talked about this once, about how when we learned about that problem, we were like, this is outrageous. Like, what's going on with this? Tell me more, and I'm going to work and solve this issue. So from the beginning, that's what I was doing. We created a very, very strong partnership with Silicon Valley Founder Institute. And because I'm a veteran, I was offered a fellowship to basically build a billion-dollar tech company, like do the big play, really learn how to do a scalable technology company in Silicon Valley. So I'm super grateful for that opportunity, that experience right here in this tech hub, in this amazing tech community here in San Jose, California. So I decided, because my whole family are business owners, and it's really running in my blood, I decided to go for it. It's the big play, right? You can make a much bigger impact that way. I had been doing a small business, a law firm before that. So I'm building a very scalable tech company, was a much bigger opportunity and an opportunity for impact. So at that time, so going through that Founder Institute programming, we did research, testing, and out of that is how Legalucy was born. So for me, Catherine, I don't really see it as this was my idea, this was my brainchild. And I really think that I kind of feel like it's important for all entrepreneurs to really view it that way. You have to be careful how attached you are, kind of in a rigid way, to your idea. You have to be very flexible. You have to be constantly learning, constantly iterating. And one piece of advice, one of the smartest things I ever learned from a mentor, Catherine, was Eddie Hartman, co-founder of LegalZoom. I've had the opportunities to meet with him. And once we were walking in the Bay Area outside of a coffee shop, and he actually shared with me, as an entrepreneur, the most important thing is that you come from a position of knowing nothing, right? So yeah, I think it's really smart, and that's kind of our positioning. So that's how it was born.
And so let's tell everybody what Legalucy does, because it really helps founders to navigate the legal system and save money, because it can be a very expensive endeavor, especially if they make a mistake, right? So this platform, this is an online platform. I know you have won top early stage AI company, like you've won awards for this endeavor. And let's talk about how it works. So I'm a founder. I go on Legalucy. What can I do there? How does it work?
Absolutely. So for founders, for small to mid-sized business owners, which is we really focus on that area. So this is like the heart of America, right? It's the backbone of our economy. The problem we're solving, as you mentioned, is that so they're really kind of avoiding lawyers, right? They don't trust a lawyer to tell them the minimum amount that is needed, and they're trying to like they don't want to pay high legal fees, and they think
Or they don't even have it to pay.
right. And so they instead they start randomly researching complex issues, and based on their own knowledge, they'll write in a prompt or things like that. And they'll ask their friends. And then so in America, each year, business owners throw away $160 billion in making mistakes, litigating, basically because they're avoiding lawyers. And it's like in business, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
This problem is such a huge problem, Catherine, and it's been largely overlooked in society. Nobody's solving the issue. People actually go around constantly making lawyer jokes. Like there's a long list of lawyer jokes, and we know what those mean. That means people don't like lawyers. Like there's a lot of truth in jest, right?
Yes, yes.
But people, they just do that and then they don't solve the problem. But we're actually really listening to business owners and really taking the time to solve the problem. So Legalucy helps business owners narrow down issues before going to a lawyer. And then they can learn how to solve the issues. So there's step-by-step guidance, there's access to forms, there are links there to pertinent sites on the internet, so they're not searching all over the internet. It's a one-stop shop for clarity and action. And then they can also learn how a lawyer can help, and they can hire professionals right on the platform. Yeah, so it's really valuable. We've gotten amazing feedback, and we have gotten a lot of recognition. So thank you for highlighting that. We've had over 4,200 users. An amazing milestone, Catherine. Like I actually, by the way, in San Francisco, there is this billboard, Catherine, and it's by a startup. And I've seen it a few times, and I want to take a photo of it sometime and post it up, on LinkedIn. And it says, we are this top AI company, and we've had like 3,671 users, right? And I think, oh my gosh, like Legalucy needs to be taking out a billboard and putting this up in San Francisco, you know?
Yeah. How many users do you have?
Yeah, we've had over 4,200 users. That's completely organically.
Right.
And so we went through this process where we did a minimal launch, and we worked directly with a small group. So we worked with like over 150 business owners, doing testing, learning what it is that they want, what they'll pay money for. And we made some updates and pivots actually to our product at that time. And
Yeah.
then secondly, we worked with over 60 lawyers from solo practice to big firms like Hanson Bridget. And we, um, again, same thing, testing, creating a platform for the lawyers because we learned from lawyers that a lot of these platforms are not really helping them. They're not really catering to them very well. So Legalucy, we actually really care a lot about helping professionals, making our platform work really well for lawyers. And that's something that we don't talk a whole lot about, Catherine, because in Legalucy's branding and our positioning, we really kind of focus on, hey, this is the problem that we're solving for business owners. And, but the truth is that we're actually doing an amazing job helping lawyers in a variety of ways. And I can talk more about that if you'd like, but I'll leave it at that.
Well, and say somebody's a founder. They come to the site. They might have questions about patents, trademarks, maybe an employee issue they're having.
Mhm.
Is this the type of things like what is the typical things that they would search for on your site?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So we have industry agnostic technology, actually. So it's really valuable. We have taken a backward approach to make sure that, we are set up really well for rapid growth, like into the future. So, but for now, with regard to our minimal product, our first product launch, and our premier product right now, which is Legalucy, We have seven major areas of the law already. So we explain this like if you're familiar with the company Canva, have you used their platform at all, Catherine?
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
familiar with them. Very successful woman entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Love it. Always cheering her on. She is at like a 40 billion or more valuation this year. And
Yep.
for a while now, it has really resonated with me, her vision, because it's very parallel to how we do things at Legalucy. So what I'm talking about there is that from the beginning, if you look up articles about Canva, they have been highly dedicated to creating a very valuable platform that you can sign up for free. You can get a lot done. You can do all this design work. It's very sticky for people. They love it. So they tell their friends, they make upgrades and look at the success, right? And that's exactly how Legalucy is. So Catherine, if you signed up today at legalucy.com and it's already there's a lot of value there. And our business model is such, and this is out of testing again, that the business owner can sign up for free. They don't have to have education, they don't have to have experience, which is required at a lot of other kind of like platforms or companies that like outdated models are saying to them, hey, we'll do lawyer matching. What do you need? Like you have to know exactly what you need when you go there, right?
Where yours is more like telling them what they need, right?
Well, what it's doing is it's an ed it's there's a piece of it that's ed tech. So it's really legal information. We
Mhm.
are educating and empowering them so that they can figure out, oh, hey, I need to be thinking about this. Like this is a risk right here. Like, wow, I didn't even know that under these circumstances that I'm in, I really
Yeah.
need to think about this. And
Yeah.
oh, by the way, here are the steps to actually solve this. And I learned more about that. And right there, where they're learning more, there's a valuable tool called How a Lawyer Can Help. It's a de-risking tool.
Right.
And again, we're speaking to this problem that's never been solved in society where people don't really know. Like they don't know what issue they have and they don't know what a lawyer could do to solve it. So there with our tool, How a Lawyer Can Help, we inform them and educate them about things like these are the actions a lawyer might take right here on this issue, and this is the value this can bring to to your business, and here are the risks of doing this yourself. And then that business owner is educated and informed, and they can make a much better decision about, should I be doing this on my own or should I really hire a professional right here? And then they can hire a professional right on the Legalucy platform.
Right. So every founder should go check out Legalucy because they can learn what it is they could do without a lawyer and what they need to do with a lawyer because too many of them don't use a lawyer when they need one. And I think that your platform educates them of when it's absolutely necessary. And then I take it, connects them to a well-qualified lawyer at a reasonable rate, I'm assuming, helping these entrepreneurs to flourish and not make any legal mistakes that could be very costly or put them out of business, right? So, hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs out there, they need to be checking out Legalucy. It should be their first stop in how do they set up their business and then how do they run their business, right?
Absolutely. So some of the major legal topics that are there already are IP. So that this is trademarks, patents, trade secrets, so forth. Very important. If you don't know about that, you literally could be investing in your company for a couple years and end up in an IP dispute. And suddenly you have to change your company name. It makes no sense. But this is the thing that business owners aren't aware of. So there's
Right.
IP, there's corporate entity selection and formation, there's employment and HR. There's internet, like privacy policies. There's funding, exit strategies, a lot of really amazing content there. And I did want to mention, in response to something that you just said, Catherine. So how we're positioned really, it's really like ed tech. So we are really educating and empowering you as a business owner so that you can make smart decisions for yourself based on these are the things that a smart business owner typically does under the circumstances like this. And then you can make decisions for yourself about how you should move forward.
I love that. Well, what a smart idea and great first stop for anybody launching a business, right? Um,
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
Harmony, how do they find you and how do they find Legal Lucy?
Absolutely. Very simple, Catherine. So if you log on to harmonyoswald.com, then right there, you can follow me on social media. So I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn, for example. So all my social media is right there. You can also follow my entrepreneur magazine contributor articles there. There's a link there. Sign up for our newsletter.
Yes, thank you. You just wrote an article about us for Show Her the Money.
Yes, absolutely. So go to harmonyoswald.com, click on what's hot, and you'll see Catherine Gray and her film and everything. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so yeah, and Legal Lucy, it's right there as well. So harmonyoswald.com, right there is all the links for you.
Well, look up Harmony on LinkedIn. Of course, I'm there too. And let's give them the Legal Lucy website.
Absolutely. So if you want to go direct, it's legallucy.com. That's spelled LegaLucy.com. It's all one word.
One L in the middle, not
That's
two.
true. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being a wonderful guest. Everybody, you can find me on LinkedIn too, Catherine Gray, and visit our websites, which are Silicon Valley Women Founders Fund .vc. You can also go to sheangelinvestors.com. And last but not least, showherthemoneymovie.com. Thank you so much for being a wonderful guest, Harmony.